Rod Duff, your host.
And I'm producer Barbie.
And together,
we bring you our podcast,
Insights and Straight Talk. And with that, producer Barbie and I are out. Woo! Oh, damn it. You caught me. I had some breath mints and I was taking them out real quick so I could jump on here. But, well, hello there. We're back. Another wonderful day in paradise here, folks. Really excited about today's topic. There's a number of people that are going to be very satisfied that we're having this conversation. And the reason I say it that way, those who, well, that's interesting. Nobody's even on yet. Okay. Let's see what happens here. Instagram issues. Okay, so it looks like I got a couple of Instagram issues coming up, but we're going out at least to part of the streaming group out there. Hey, appreciate you coming in there. Stop in, tell everybody to subscribe and like this episode. As I was saying in the opening segment there, just walking in, I was just hanging with Tony over in the green room. We were talking about a couple things that we're talking about, and it's really kind of important to kind of just have that initial conversation, because we are going to be talking about what a lot of people sense as a sensitive series of conversations or topics here within this conversation. To me, it's not, but that's me. Tony, you know, we all are a little different, but we've also all been pushed one into separate little boxes. You know, you're this, you're that, you're this, you're that, they over there, them, and you know, and keep arguing so we can keep that that divide and conquer situation going on. This topic is something that needs to be conversed. I don't know what the right word is. Needs to be played with, talked about, everything else on a regular basis. So it then that becomes nothing, because it's nothing. But there's forces is a big word, but there's forces out there that want us to keeping that apart, because when we all come together as a great middle class, there's volume and there's girth. I like that word, girth, in that. And when there is that means that we're educated ourselves. We're educated in the things. Look at our founding fathers put on a series of documents, proved all that, did all this. They were a bunch of elites coming over from another country. And when the taxation without representation happened, it started off because of persecution and in religion. And then finally they said, it must come from the people, and it must be for the people, and it must be by the people. And that's the only way to really make, we've got all these short, wonderful societies of sorts, but that's a system that's been running for 3,000 years. Governments have learned how to do that, right? They've learned how to become the creators of all the needs of the people so that everybody comes to them. Our founding fathers threw a little bit of a curve in there and said, we need to flip that around. The narrative needs to come from the people, the working class, the middle class. The countries call them slightly different, but we're the backbone of what builds the economics, what builds the industrial side of things, what basically makes the country be able to operate in any sort of fashion. And ours happens to spend 17.6, I think is right now the number, $1 trillion a year of our money, Tony's money, my money, Sarah, Jill, Bobby, all of our money is being pulled together to use what they decide. We technically have a vote, but we all know that's BS. and until we change all that, and until gentlemen like the very intelligent, my new best friend Tony, comes in and starts helping us all as we start these conversations, we're not going to get definitively better until we start conversations about race, about interrelations, about what is real and what isn't, and what are the priorities. There's a socio difference, just not in where you live, but beliefs and so forth, and personal experiences. How are you, Tony? I'm so glad we are sitting down and chatting a bit here.
I am great. I'm definitely excited by being on your podcast. I have looked at a couple of your podcasts, and you are on it. I think we are on the same path of exploration and discovery, trying to figure out how do we get here and why are we here and what are we going to do to make our lives individually, as a family, as a society, as a culture, as a nation, as a world better.
Yes. And that's what it's all about, because right now, there's the elite class, right? And then there's everybody else in the middle class, and all this has different abilities or access to things to make their lives better. And right now, unless we change it, we have to be the ones to make it better, because honestly, the leadership they're rocking it out. I mean, they're doing all right. I mean, right? I mean, there's a thing going on where we're paying for their party all day long. And yeah, there's a little bit of showmanship and work. And don't get me wrong, we need leadership, no doubt about it. We need infrastructure. We need safety. By the way, neither of those are in any really good shape. Those are the two main things we need, and they're not being attended to. But we have weapons being built, and we have this and that. And I'm not for or against any of these things. We just need to be the ones saying, hold on here, right?
Yeah, I agree. Well, if I could, let me expand on how I got here.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Yes.
Because a lot of people look at me and say, you're black. Okay. What's
Wait. Hold. Wait a minute. Let me take another one. Hold on. I'm gonna get my.
Okay.
Son of a bitch, you are black.
I know. And it's like I've been put into this pigeonhole of what I should think or what I should say or what should be important to me, and it's really mind-boggling that people just automatically presume of who I am and what my thoughts are, just whatever. But my dad was in the military, so I grew up in a very multicultural environment while I was around him. But
what branch?
Army.
Oh shoot! I've got Army shorts on right now. I'm not going to stand up and show you. But my dad was a Marine. So my son's an Army. My dad was a Marine.
Nice.
He's passed away. So yeah, I feel you. Keep going. I just when you said that, I'm like, I wanted to jump up.
Yeah, I appreciate it. But my family as a whole are from the deep South, Georgia. I mean, and they were brought up in the traditional Southern Black Democrat, everything great about Democrats. And but the fact that I was pretty much raised outside of that environment, outside of the deep South environment, Germany, Kansas, Texas, Maryland, then Columbus, I really didn't experience the full brunt of so-called racism. People are prejudiced. I guess I can better categorize people in the West and Kansas and just whatever. But the South, that was a whole different story when I came back and we actually moved to Columbus and Georgia and spent more time down in the country, as I referred to. My dad's dad had a really good spread of land, farmland, to really experience Black and white conflict. But that made me curious. I'm like, why are we at each other's throats. Why is it okay, say, for a white woman to go out with the Asian or Hispanic people, in, for my knowledge, we actually went to war with, but to have her next to Negro-American is it's an issue. That's really concerned me,
What
disturbed me.
I was somebody was asking me something on about coming on. What was the timing? The time in this? I know you were going back and forth, and the Deep South is, by reputation, by experience, by history, is a very different space. What timing were you talking about? Is that looking back into the, or is that more
70s? 70s.
Okay.
It's
Gotcha.
when I really became of age and became aware of my surroundings. You know, when I really started dating and liking women, and they said, "Well, you can't date this one, but you could date that one." I'm like,
"Oh yeah,
what?"
Yeah.
But she likes me, I like her, so but there's a problem. You know, I was curious at how did this become a problem and why is it a problem? And I've always been curious. Much to my parents' chagrin, I always ask a lot of questions and I always put them in a lot of uncomfortable positions of not being able to answer my questions. But that always just drove me down a rabbit hole. Like, why is this skin color issue in regards to Negro and Caucasian? And I say Negro because I don't agree with African American, because there's no such thing. There's no such thing as African American. It drives me up the wall. It just it just like two continents. You can't be two continents. It's not up the wall. It's just devoid of logic. It's two continents. Where are you from? I'm African American. Where are you from? I have no idea. It's a continent, right? It's not a country. It's a continent. So you can't be from a continent, but it's America. What can I say? Just right. Up the wall. I'm sorry, I went off on a tangent. So
no. As a matter of fact, I want to just hang there just for a second, just hover, because I mean, what you're saying is right. And earlier, when kind of that intro was going on a little bit, that I was kind of saying a couple of things that are frustrating about today's world. That goes back to that divide and conquer, right? That separation that came in probably right in that later 70s area, maybe that African American thing, and it's another separation. Jesse Jackson, another separation, exactly, right?
Yeah.
It drives everybody crazy, but nobody's allowed to say anything. That's why I like.
Yeah. Right. So being curious and wanting to understand why, it just drove me to learn more, and I had the opportunity to move to Atlanta, and that opened me up to a whole lot of answers. I joined the Nation of Islam for a minute, and that was real interesting to see that side.
What's the name of it? Hold on. Because we do a lot on religion as well. The what's of Islam? The mates?
Nation of Islam.
Nation of Islam. Sorry. I did think mates sounded right.
Nation of Islam, Farrakhan. Sure. And what got me curious in that was, of course, Malcolm X. The difference between Malcolm X and Martin Luther, and then learning about earlier civil rights issues dealing with Booker T. Washington and W. Du Bois, and learning about that period. And it's my position that blacks went off the rails politically during Wilson. People want to say that we went off the rails because of politics was under FDR and Lyndon Baines. And I think we went off the rails way before then, because blacks traditionally voted Republican. Like, you couldn't find a black Democrat, earlier.
Very true.
And people hear that, but then they want to excuse it and make it say, well, we all switched because of this exchange, the the grand swap or whatever they want to call it, but Democrats can Republican or Republican, whatever. That's just nonsense because there are many Democrats who are former KKK, but you can't find any Republicans who former KKK.
Well, not only that, but they actually started the KKK.
Start
it was
there,
part
right.
of the system.
Nobody.
Go ahead.
Nobody wants to. They get a pass somehow. They get a pass for their history, and that's another thing that just dropped up the wall. And there has been no repentance openly as a party. You may have, individual politicians, but Democratic Party hasn't come as a party and say, "Forgive me for my sins or my forefathers that once wore this shield." That hasn't happened. But yet we're supposed to hammer the Republicans on something that they then never do, which again, I can't blame the Democrats. I blame the Republicans for not standing up and protecting their flag. But when I looked at how each time the Negro people saw a need to bend the knee and kiss the ring of the Democrat Party, it was under economic strife. It started with the Wilson administration because economically we're going through economic depression, and plus Wilson has sick the KKK on blacks in the South, and the black leaders wanted Wilson to help them economically and get the Klan off the blacks' backs. And I would give you my vote and my people's vote if you do that for me. And that was W. Du Bois and Booker T. Booker T wanted blacks to be self-sufficient and be have power going to the table, whereas W. Du Bois were like, I'm going to create a group of blacks and we're going to tell the other blacks what to do. And if you see W. Du Bois side one, blacks went behind Wilson, got Wilson elected. Wilson got amnesia.
Surprise. Shocker.
Yeah, I know. And then came again, FDR and Lyndon Baines, the same scenario. Economic situation, depression. Blacks come in, I give you my vote if you do this for us. Did it again, and blacks have never voted Republican of any great number since LBJ. And there's nothing that I could see, someone could tell me, that has benefited blacks 60 plus years being under Democrat tent, other than more economic depression as a culture, as a society, more bastardization as a community, and
more what? Bachelorization?
Bastard.
Yeah. So in other words, without the family structure, these are all things that are just kind of being whispered nowadays, and that's why it's so great.
That's an improvement. That's an improvement.
Yes, it is. It is. It's a big improvement.
Yeah.
Back in the 50s, the relationships and the communities between the Negro-American, Negro and the Caucasian was just nothing, and then the media got involved and tore it all up again.
Well, I'm not gonna say it wasn't nothing. I mean, because there was such thing as Black Wall Street.
Go ahead.
So Black Wall Street happened in the 20s and 30s.
That's true.
Where blacks have more money economically, more than whites did, doing very well. And my last article, podcast and article, spoke about because there's this thing about this article came out in 2017 about blacks' wealth going down to zero by 2053. So I brought that up and looked at, well, how does this make sense? Because we came from Black Wall Street. Whites destroyed Black Wall Street. Government destroyed other Black Wall Streets like Sweet Auburn here in Atlanta. You had North Carolina, Durham, North Carolina. Then you had, of course, you had Tulsa, Oklahoma, where whites and so-called segregation, desegregation, destroyed the black communities. Because one, whites, of course, didn't want blacks to be above them. Secondly, government structure needed blacks to buy from them. So when you had a strong black community that didn't see a need to go outside that community, where dollars circulated, 10, 100 times before it left the community, that hurt whites. So government saw a need to wreck that by creating, by driving highways to black communities, railroad tracks to black communities. And then, of course, you had segregation, where blacks gave up everything and whites gave up nothing of real substances. I mean, economically. So that really wrecked the black community. It's never been the same since.
Well, Ed, I'll tell you, I love having this show, what we do, because there's so much that's not known, again, because we don't have these conversations, and because the mainstream is going to keep that narrative that best fits. Like you said, none of these things are known, that these there's more reason for distrust and because of dishonor that then you even know. You hear about the history and all of that relationship between the political parties, the different populations, but you only hear the same story over and over again. You're talking about things that are never really at all discussed. Because here's why I bring that up. It's interesting to me because, we have these different histories. We talk about, Black History Month. We talk about different, again, it's never American this or that. It's still keeping it separated. And what
so when is White History Month?
There is none. That's like saying Father's Day is actually an important holiday, right? there isn't, but that's exactly it. And right. what they're doing is keeping, because the story you just told about the different investments and that being torn down, and the reason was because there was too much circulation within this community and not. But at the end of the day, that kind of stuff has held us back so far, because that circulation shouldn't matter where it goes. It's the American, financial structure system. You have to money has to change hands in order for our system to work. And great, if it's circulating here, for whatever the reasons are, you're building stuff up. And you always build off of that. But back in those days, the short thought process held us back so far. What do you think today, though? What do you think today, though?
Well, I mean, I see a question there. What inspired me to do Project ThirdEye Open? It's the name, ThirdEye Open. What is ThirdEye Open? It's basically your subconscious seeing something.
Exactly.
And your conscience telling you, no, you didn't see it. And that's what we humans, particularly now in the PC culture where you don't want to offend anybody, you really got to start asking the question why. That's what my tag on my name on my podcast says, question with boldness, as Thomas Jefferson once said, even the existence of God. And back then that was a serious question, because God was not the way we see it now, and not a strong held belief. So question, we just don't question things. So Project ThirdEye Open is to encourage, and it's a past tense, not a future tense or present tense. It's open your eyes now. to get people to question things like, how do we get here? What our founders, does that story make sense? The treaty, the Paris Treaty wasn't signed here in the United States. It was signed in England. So if we won, why was it signed in England?
Touche.
If
Touche.
if so, you notice being a military guy, if the whole Revolutionary War was based on taxes, how does that make sense? If that was the case, we're not fighting now. So was that the case? And if you ask questions like that, you start getting some interesting answers.
So lay some of that out. What do you open that up a little bit? Some of the questions. So we're talking about taxes. Was that really what it was all about? Go a little deeper.
Right.
What was it about?
The whole thing is, how do we get here? So we got to start at the beginning. How do we get here? It's my contention that you understand that those settlers, someone financed that journey. Someone financed that exploration. Someone financed those people coming over to the so-called new land, where everybody knew we were here. So it wasn't undiscovered, because there were people already here, folks. There were people already here, so it wasn't undiscovered. And Europeans would come over here many years before Columbus, the Vikings in particular. So
true, very true.
Someone financed that exploration. So we get here, and to me, there's a contract. To me, the founders went behind closed doors and said, we're going to go back on this contract because we're not being satisfied. We want to change the agreement. That's what they had to do it in secret. That's just me. You can agree or disagree, but we can have a conversation about it, because this makes more sense than all of this. Bam, we're free, or bam, I'm going to sign the Declaration of Independence, and I'm going to do Articles of Confederation, all of this. Why, if this is my stuff, and I did all this on my own, why do I owe anything to Britain? Because they financed this. That's why they owe this to us. That's why the British were over here in the first place as a military, because they were over their property, over their possessions. You can't say that if there isn't an agreement already in place to give them that belief that this is their stuff. So that's what I mean about, you have to look at this and question like those type of things. So if that's the case, that makes sense to me. Then there's an expectation from Britain or the people who financed this journey. So the war came, this whatever. So again, there's a lot of things that people got to think about. How do we get here? What happened to our history? The whole notion of so-called slavery for 400 years, do the math. It don't make any sense. The country is not even 300 years old yet. So how can you say you're enslaved for 400 years? Come on, folks. Come on. This stuff, just because you repeat it and regurgitate it, and a crowd says it, like I always say, a bad idea by 100 people is 100 people with a bad idea. Doesn't matter the number of people who support a bad idea. It's still a bad idea. It's still a lie. It's still untruth, whatever. But you got to be strong in yourself. You got to have think and look at things and just question and be strong enough to question, even against your parents telling you that red is blue and blue is red. You got to be willing to say no. Blue is blue and red is red. This is why. You got to come with the why. You can't just say it, and that's the thing. But you first got to start with that question. Start with the question. Be curious.
Yeah, I like what you're saying here, especially that Walt Whitman. I use a quote of his quite often that is repeating what you're saying, and that quote is, "Be curious, not judgmental," because when you're curious, you're really pulling stuff out, and like you said, you can do simple math and get through to facts of things, but what we really need is we need to be able to, we need to have that message through, because people need to do it instead of just falling back on what feels good to hear. Like you're saying, you need to ask why. You need to ask, why is that, and how do we get there? What do you, oh my God, we have 428 people on right now.
You're doing a good job, Rob. You're doing a good job.
No. The subjects did. Thank you. The subject's doing a great job, because it's important. Hey, what did we say in the beginning? We got to talk. We got to investigate. We got to peel back the onions, or I like to say, peel back the onion, or I like to say we need to put color in between the layers. We need to fill this stuff out, because there is a continuation of things going on which aren't in our best interest, and we don't have the ability to change it because we don't do the work, and we aren't coming together to create a mass. We have to be a mass. We have to, what is there? 300 and I don't know what the number is now. 350 million people in America. We have to have 300 million people agreeing that these are the things that are making our lives better. AI's coming. If we don't have that under control,
we don't need 300 million. I mean, because
yeah, I threw numbers
I know.
out.
Because the revolution started with what 21 individuals, 14. It take like 14% to move, and grow from there.
Good point. Okay.
So you don't need the masses, because the masses never wanted to follow change. When Martin Luther King came in, people don't understand. Black folks didn't like him.
Really?
Negro, no, because he wanted change. He wanted change. The majority of blacks, they did. It was minority of people, and once they saw he was winning, yeah, okay, I'm jump on now. Okay, thank you very much. But if you look at that,
good point.
Change never came by the masses. Never will. No, should we respect that? We need to have a good idea. You have a good idea, and God is on your side. You are going to win. And when people see you winning, everybody want to be part of the winner, right? And that they will jump on. And that's always been the case. It's always been the case. So you don't need everybody. But the problem is when you look at.
Here's the problem right here, my friend Tony. Here's the problem.
Why
is the question mainstream narratives? Why is questioning mainstream narratives seen as, and this is what is happening? You're saying this is what we're fighting against. Why? Mm-hmm. This is what we are all fighting against. Is this is the pushback. This is the government, the media. They're all tied together, one side or the other, whatever it is. But that when that little alarm light goes off and say, hey, they're starting to get a little bolder here. We better push out another. It's now called a rebellion. You're rebelling, so people go, whoa. I'm
right. You're a rebel, or you are anti-government. Anti-government. You're a truther and all this other stuff. Where people want to put negative connotations on it. But my thing is, in regards to that question, you got to go back 5 years ago, the COVID. That was horrendous for American free will. That showed the whole world, because remember when there was talk about
dude, dive deep into this, because your COVID wasn't COVID. It was taking away Americans' free will and
yes,
seeing how far they could take it.
yes.
Please
There you
dive,
go.
dive.
Yes, yes.
Boom.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there was a poll that was taken. How many Americans will be willing to freely take this so-called vaccine that's only been in existence for 6 weeks? You
I
know,
saw that.
and everybody said, no, hell no. Government said, okay, now that we see that, it's a trial balloon, now we're going to make it mandatory. And Biden, with the media at his back, put that into order. But what was shocking, and shocked a lot of people, was the degree of compliance, blind compliance of the American people to forget that they're Americans. They totally forget about the Constitution because they're not taught to talk about the Constitution. But the total bent over, grab your knees and spread your cheeks, that was stunning, and that stunned a lot of people in conservative media who was, and I listened to Steve Days. He got me really hot because he affirmed what I was already thinking, and I never to take the shot because one thing,
I didn't either.
How long has it been in existence, and why am I doing this again? So it never made sense.
Sorry, you remember? God, got me choked up. I tried to talk and breathe at the same time. It didn't work.
Don't worry.
Do you remember to the extent, the freaking extent the government went to make that to the point where, I mean, they really drove the nation in half against each other. Like people, I remember when that first started, you just heard what I did. I was in a price club, one of these things, and it was just starting and the toilet paper was running out. You had a line to pick up the toilet paper. And I just, did that. Oh my God, this lady, about 3 people in front of me, she went white. Her whole life just flashed before her eyes. And she gave me the dirtiest look. And that's what the government did to us.
Yes.
We let it. And we let it.
Again, it's free will. I mean, the Constitution give you the right to make a choice.
Why don't we have more now, you think? Let's dig into some roots here. Is it the generational thing? Why are we 20 years ago, I think we wouldn't have let that happen so much, so easily, certainly. We had a lot more hooftas. We had a lot more balls then.
Sure.
And now we don't. Why do you think we don't have? Why did we allow this to happen so easy? Not that it happened so easily. We were convinced.
Well,
and then the other half butchered the other half that said, hey, what are you talking about? Right. That's the problem.
To me, it's the educational system, which is don't educate. Okay. There's a reason why the Constitution does not give the government authority over education. Education is always meant to be a local state issue, never federal. So Trump said
that's what Trump's trying to do right now.
Yes.
Or is doing actually.
Exactly. But so let's start there, and then it comes down to the feminization of our culture, which was started back in the women's lib, other stuff. And I know women, men gonna hate me, most women gonna hate me, but I don't care. Truth is truth. Women and men have our roles with each other. That's why the Creator put us together. If the Creator wanted
something different,
masculine egos, he would have created 2 men to be together. Or if the Creator wanted 2 female egos or energies, he would have created 2 females. He didn't do that for a reason. So when you masculinize the woman and you feminize the man, there's no one protecting the home. There's no one protecting the child. There's no one protecting the family. There's no one is showing because masculinity includes aggressiveness, willing to fight to protect not only my freedoms but my neighbor's freedoms, and the willing to stand up against authority, willing to fight the bear, basically. Once you remove that ego from the culture, from the family, There's
Dynamics.
there's three governments. There's God, there's family, and then there's man. We remove God, you remove the family in regards to the man governing the family. Only thing that's left is the man government. And when the female is running the home, running the culture, they don't know how to be the man. So they have to find man in another image, and that's government. That's why the Democrat Party has more females under its tent than the Republican Party. Because the Democrat Party is the father figure, the protector, the provider for the female. That's why we are turning upside down, because there's no man saying stop. You should go no further.
Well, from what was last week in Europe, they started calling Trump daddy.
Oh, really?
That little meme. Remember that? Did you hear that? The German chancellor.
He's masculine. He's masculine.
Exactly.
You can say whatever you want about Trump, but he's masculine.
He's a leader, and he's not exactly everybody's perfect idea of what they imagine, but it's about results. It's let's move on from that. Hey, listen, I do have a bit of a stop. I've got to be somewhere at 11:10. Sure. So I do not want to miss some of these questions here. Sure. I want to know, kind of let's dig a little bit more into what Antoni is asking here. Why is it a rebellion? Your opinion, what is it? Because it's not a rebellion. There's a lot of things that are called things that aren't. We all know that. But what do you think people calling it a rebellion are gaining from that?
They want us to be like Europe.
Okay, go on.
So Europe history is one of government people, not people government. So when you are going up against the government, you're rebellion, because the government wants the people to be subordinate. Yes. But American Constitution reverses all of that. We created the government. Yeah. And that's what they want us to forget. They want us to forget that.
What a great way to put that, because you're right. Europe is free. It's a free world, but it's not us. They don't have in their structure.
Yes, in the spirit.
What a great point.
Yeah.
And spirit yes. And structure too, because they don't have the same structure we do as a democratic republic.
No.
Breaks it down deeper. Very good point. Excellent, dude. That I like that.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this. On that same question, just to top it the other side, how can we get into this conversation and ask why without having fear? Because remember, cancel culture is still in everybody's memory. We're coming out of the valley of death, hell, weirdo, all sorts of stuff.
It's still there.
Still there. Exactly. It's in the shadows.
Yeah.
I was talking to somebody on this show the other day, and although it was just a really cool, nice conversation about something else, this particular guest would bring in these comments that I was like, okay, because it's like it's still out there. This is an adult, and some of the safe spaces and stuff, and making sure to ask the employee how they feel about their work environment. Can they take 2 hours a day off to re-energize themselves while at work on the clock? Weird stuff. So it's still there, but it's getting better, isn't it? It's getting better.
No, it's not. It's not getting better.
Really?
It's getting worse.
Oh man.
Because
you still think we have more to go to get past it?
The feminine culture is taking hold of our community. We're becoming more and more of a European culture.
We are,
and that's why the removal of kids from the educational system for 2 years is going to come back and bite us. And when you remove the male, particularly in the Black community, 70% of the children born in the Black community are born to a female led household. That's going to bite us all, because nobody can survive 70% of bad energy anywhere. It's never going to be a good thing. So the culture becoming more feminized because men are not standing up. When you see more people fighting against what's going on in the schools, just whatever, you see the woman. You don't see the man. Where's the man? Where are the men standing up and saying, this is my home, I'm protecting it against you, government, whoever threatens it? Where's the man? That's why the cancel culture has now become internalized. We're defeating ourselves.
That's why, okay, that connects some dots there, because what you're saying now, and here's the thing: it's a whole series. It's not a whole series. It's actually just saying stop, pause, put it on hold. Let's go back to what a human being, is, what a mammal is, what that actually is, and let's go back and then let's do it right. Keep doing it right. Right now we're doing well enough. We're doing all the wrong things, like you said. That different culture, that different that feminizing of the man. It's still voodoo, which is strange. Yet it's. I mean, you have to not look at the science to believe that. You have to avoid at all costs the science to believe that. And it's still got a grip, because people are, I don't know what people are searching for. I mean, like the original question that started this conversation a little bit ago, how can we have this without being in fear? Because the extreme, here's the thing. We all live here. Maybe even here, pretty damn close to each other. Lean a little of this way and this, a little of that way, but we have the basic same thing. This should be our sounding ground. This is how we should be able to. But here's who controls the narrative: the very minimal amount of people, that 2, 5, 10, maybe 20%. They control all the narrative, and yet everybody doesn't give a shit about what they're doing because it's wrong. But the politicians see that way to control us, and there's another easy way that we fall right into. How can we get this why, like you said, why, without being afraid of the pushback and the blowback that occurs?
We have to first recognize that we got an issue.
We do, absolutely.
Start there.
How do we get that out? How big of a deal do you think this is? As far as
it's serious.
Population wise. America,
as we know it, as we love it, you and I love it, cannot exist, cannot survive. Because as I mentioned in one of my podcasts, we were not meant to be a feminized culture. That's
absolutely true. Let me ask you though, I want to kind of twist you a little bit here. In that vein, as a population, it's a problem. Obviously, society, it's a problem. How big of a population? Like right now, it's turning. How many people believe the way that we're talking in general, or how versus what's been going on? Are we at half the population still believes that we should be? What are those weirdos doing over there trying to say men are men and they need to be, how big of a problem are we still? Because we need communication. It's not about the answers are there. The answers are there.
It's in the educational system. It's starting out in elementary. It's going all the way up to universities. Have you seen what's going on at Harvard? I mean, these Harvard, Princeton, all started by religious people. You can't say anything about Harvard and those Ivy Leagues, anything Christian at all. So when it's in the water system of the education, you cannot run that, because the masses are being indoctrinated. You have the young people, you have the old people. Right is wrong and wrong is right.
Yeah. And Trump's going after that right now too, big time. and they have all that endowment. And it's funny. I got a like a LinkedIn or something. I was Harvard said, hey, support us. This is what we have, these new programs coming out. And I wrote back a comment and said, shame on you guys. Are you serious? And I just did that. And I didn't think, but then the comments opened up and there were like 50 of those kind of comments. Everybody's learning. And these were young people as well. I think there's a tide changing.
It is, but
unfortunately we do this. Unfortunately we do this.
And really, in the South, you can see that. In the North, it's the exact opposite. And
true. That's true.
And the force is not gonna come from above, not gonna come from Trump. Trump got one good year left. Our salvation is not gonna come from politicians. It's gonna come from the people. That's how we were created. We were created from the people to build the government, to create a government. That's why it gave us the authority. If we ever see a government is going against us, we have the right to disband government and start again with the same fundamental rights and liberties to ensure that they do it right. We completely forgot about that. Not to say that I'm for that, but we have to understand what our status is, what our role is in this. We are to control the government, not the government control us. We can't look for one man like Trump to be our salvation, because it's not going to come. It had to come from our home.
No. What we need, though, we do need somebody who's out there. Is like, when you have a tractor and you're plowing the dirt and rocks away. Sure. You do need that point there. But it is about us, and
yes,
and I believe that's
we're the point.
Biggest,
we're the point.
And I think Trump's biggest thing right now is, it started in the first one with the whole swamp thing. He wants to make that point that you're saying right now, and that the politicians are just people we hire. They're swamped right now. They're not the right ones. And yes, it went into a political thing, but I really believe that Trump's is a situation where that door gets opened and pulls away all the cobwebs of evil and built-in structure that doesn't allow us unknowing to get through it. He's digging that out, and now I think we now take the baton and then run with it, because you're right, it is up to us. We haven't done that. If Trump hadn't come along, very shortly, fascism, socialism, communism, whatever you pick.
But again, if the people don't understand, because when look at what's going on now, you have more Republicans fighting against Trump than you do Democrats, particularly if you look at the passage of the BBB. If he was Biden and this was Democrat Party, that BBB.
Wait, hold on. BBB.
Build Back Better.
What's that?
Build Back Better.
Gotcha.
Gotcha. No, I'm sorry. The big beautiful bill.
Okay. Oh yeah. Okay. Gotcha. Yeah.
Big beautiful bill. If this was a Democrat policy and this was Biden, Democrats would jump on that altogether, whole hog. Republicans do not do that, because again, they still want the sweet and not the sour. And the American people still want the sweet and not the sour. They don't want to do what needs to be done. The American people today are not the American people of the 1930s, 1960s that went through the Depression and made it through it. We will not survive anything close to that.
Yeah, we've really got a lot of rebuilding to do. And the conversations like this, platforms all over, not just this one. Of course, this is my personal favorite. Might be a little biased, but I do like this platform. But there's a lot that's coming out now that gives us the benefit to be able to do this.
I agree.
It kind of we walked a little bit more, but let's step a couple steps back. We've got a couple more questions here, but this is awesome, dude. We still have 486 people after an hour. This is so important and needed. We need to probably do more of these and stay in touch. By the way, before we leave, I always remind this, but especially now, especially the opportunity to really talk about things instead of try and make points that are can make social media reels or something. But leave your contact information in the private chat so I can copy and post it over. I don't know why you can't just leave a comment, but that way somebody comes in a month, a week, a year. How do I get a hold of this guy? There it is.
Sure.
So with Dirk, what is the biggest lie being taught in government education today? There's a few of them, but let's just go there right now.
The biggest one that hits me is that blacks all came here as slaves. That annoys me to the bone. It's illogical, for one thing. It's totally illogical. Because if you agree in the Bible that man started in Africa, most people would say the majority of people in Africa are melanated. So if you believe that, and if one believes that at some point that all continents were joined, which they were, if you believe that, how can you say we only came to this continent, to this land, in slavery, in chains? And when you read the books like Christopher Columbus before the Mayflower, he completely says the exact opposite, that black Negroes were traveling from the South doing trade with the Aboriginal people here who were melanated. So again, it is one of those questions that people got to ask. Does 2 + 2 = 4, or you telling me 2 + 2 = 10? Some things just got to make sense. Now, I'm not saying there wasn't any slave trade, but to the numbers that they're saying and to the manner that so-called roots just, that's a whole nother subject. We went off the rails with roots because I can remember roots. Nobody was talking about slavery before roots, to my explanation. And my grandparents, I said it from my grandparents all the time, they never mentioned slavery. They mentioned the cracker down the road. That's fine, but it wasn't a slavery thing. Roots changed our whole lexicon, and that's my biggest thing with the educational system. Then also in regards to where our place is in regards to the government. When I was growing up, we knew about the Constitution, the colonies. We knew about how a bill came into law. Johnson, what is your function? We were taught that, and we're not taught about civics anymore. What is our role in relationship to government? We are not.
There's a reason for that.
Yes,
there's a reason for that.
We are not to be told by government what to do. We want to tell the government what we will allow it to do. That's why the first 10 amendments were designed to put chains on government. That's why Obama hated the first 10 amendments. He hated it because he understood that put chains on government. But if the people will relinquish the chains like they did in COVID, that's a you problem. That's a you problem. Government is going to do what it wants to do unless the people say, no, you won't do that. That's up to us.
It's so true. We got to get a backbone. I mean, we're the backbone of this country, and yet we don't have enough backbone to say, wait a minute. We don't have enough to come together and say what you're saying. This is an interesting question, Maria, as I've been looking through a couple of them as we're chatting along here. Maria, thank you very much for this. Jason, Jack, thank you guys. I appreciate your comments and how has that changed your life being in Christian Voice magazine, and has it shaped your message? And there's an ability to get a voice out, and that's when you can really start a journey's momentum. Right. And how has that affected you at all at this point?
Well, that's the first time, because this is back in the day with Yahoo.
Exactly. Yeah. Long time.
Yeah, way back in the day. And I was just messing around, expressing my opinions or whatever. And these people reached out to me. I'm like, they actually like that? And so that's where I knew that I was kind of onto something.
Yes.
So yeah,
So that kind of reinforced. I kind of said, okay, I'm onto something here. Let's keep this. So that
and a
great
Christian
question.
magazine, and it was about none call it freedom or something like that. It had to do with the 4th of July, and none call it Independence Day.
Really?
Yes, and it was that title, and I still refer back that to occasionally, because we are not independent. We're not independent, and people who go celebrate the 4th, that's the last thing on their mind. They like to barbecue, they like the time off, they may even like being my friends, but the country and its foundings, and we're not perfect. I never said we were perfect. Anything that man touches is going to have some imperfections. So, but to me, we're the best thing going. We're with the prettiest girl in the ballroom,
and we have the directions to her heart. We have the directions to get there. We just gotta keep that leaning into her and getting back to what she would really want. In this case, I know we diverted here a little bit. We are talking about the country.
If you think about it, if the Constitution wasn't in place and people were still adhering to the Constitution, COVID would have been a lot worse. Did you see what happened in New Zealand and Australia and some countries in Europe? Because they had no Constitution. And Canada even. What happened in Canada? Because there's no Constitution. There's nothing's putting change in government like it is here. And look at what happened in New York, California, Illinois. That didn't happen down in the South. Wonder why.
You know what else? It's Sweden or Switzerland? Damn, I keep mixing those up. They had no issue at all in that because they have they run the government. Sweden. Yeah, they had no issue at all. And you know what? They didn't shut down. They didn't wear masks. They didn't take shots. And they were like, yeah, we're good.
Yeah, exactly.
It's all
right.
No
one thing about Sweden, people forgot about Sweden was even on the map.
They shut them down, man. They keep them quiet.
Yeah.
About that.
Yeah, but that led to something in the milk ain't clean. Why are we not talking about Sweden, who has seemingly be having some kind of success, but we're not trying to even talk about that? Even have a conversation. Oh yeah, something wrong.
Yep. Look at this. Jeff here says, loving the real-time dialogue. Keep it coming. We need to do some backups on this.
Sure.
You know what I mean? I'll come on your show. That'd be cool too. So we can throw some things around. Jeffrey, that does not look like a Jeffrey, but okay. Amazing insights tonight. Don't stop speaking truth. I'm telling you, there's some need for what. No, there's a lot of need, and there's a lot of recognition now. Like you said, we're on the precipice. We're about ready to go one direction. Right? There's going to be a lot of pushback. I mean, what Trump's getting is nothing when everybody else starts buying in, because then it'll be the last call. It'll be that last. We're throwing it all in all we can, because they're not going to. There is something going on. Call it whatever you want to call it, but there's something going on, and at the end of the day.
I mean, look at what's going on in Florida with DeSantis. After he's gone, watch and see everybody revert back to what they did before DeSantis. The same thing's going to happen here, because to me, Democrat Party.
You got that stuff in there? You got your information? I don't see your light yet.
Yep.
There we go.
The Republican Party is the dad. The Democrat Party is the mother.
True.
We're the children. Nobody wants to be around dad when he's laying down the law, because kids want to eat cake for breakfast. It's the dad who says, no, you cannot have cake for breakfast because it's bad for you. But Democrat Party, they want to say you can have everything, the cake for breakfast, and no vegetables or anything.
And no problem.
And Republicans, who are Republicans name only, they want to feed them because it's more money being bad. It's more money being bad. So the people have to force the political creatures to do what they're supposed to be doing, or else it's a you problem.
Dude, beautiful, beautiful show. I really appreciate you coming on here.
Thank
Let's keep in you bet, man. Let's keep in touch. Let's like I said, let's keep doing our gig here. I got your information up there. That's correct, right? At your website, right? And
actually, I did misspell it. Let me do it.
I'm so glad I asked.
Yeah. Appreciate
So
that.
while you're topping that, why don't you give your you got a lot of fans here. There's still 489 people here.
Oh,
and
wow.
why don't you give them a big a final thought, a wave goodbye, and while you're doing that, I'll copy that over.
Yeah. This ask questions, y'all. I mean, the answer's out there. I mean, what did they say? Seeking you shall find, knock on the door, shall be open. You know, one of my favorite passages is just, if you don't ask the question, you are not going to get the answer. Sometimes the answer is not what you want, but it's what you need. But people got to understand, when you get the answer, I mean, it's like I used to hate spinach until it was delivered into a salad, and my cousin put all out of goodies around it. Now I love spinach. You know, it's just one of those things that, as a free people, you got to be willing to act free. Freedom is not without responsibilities. If you're not willing to take responsibility for your own self, you cannot be free.
That is beautiful, man. Hey, give everybody a big wave. This was nothing but fantastic, and we are gonna hook back up. We know where we can reach each other. Our calendar thing there.
Yes,
and
y'all can find me on my website. You can find me on any social.
Yeah, it's right here.
Podcast platform. You can follow me on Rumble for sure. Not much on YouTube. YouTube kick me out doing COVID. So I'm just bailing on that. And plus they block a lot of, pretty much all of my energy there. So I'm on Rumble for the videos, but definitely follow me on any of your favorite podcast platforms.
Beautiful. Listen to what Rob Thomas has to say, and then I'll throw you in the green room there. I love saying that. So Rob Thomas says, this is what real podcasting should be all about. 100%. Thank you, Rob. All right. Give a big wave, man. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Rob.
You're the man.
Thank you, Rob.
You bet. That was awesome, guys. Hey, I appreciate you guys staying all the way through. I'm going to make this a really short out because I've got to actually, I'm moving, as you know, I'm moving to the South, as we were talking about with Tony there. Not quite the same. One of my grandchildren, the family now lives in Texas, the northern border, up by Dallas. He lives in not Plano, not Frisco. Maybe it is Plano. Anyway, I've been down there a bunch of times, but whatever. So I'm going to move to the southern part of Oklahoma, and that way I'm only a couple hours away instead of, what am I now, 15 and a half hours away. And I go there quite a bit. And she's starting to grow up, and we got a good thing going. If you guys saw the show the other day on Saturday, actually, I did a whole show on how fathers affect how fathers in their effect of their girls. Now, keep in mind, I raised all boys, 5, which was fun because I needed to grow up still, so I could do that a lot. But but now I have granddaughters, only granddaughters. They're all having daughters, and it's freaking amazing. I got to tell you, this right here, hers. I'm just constantly around either one of theirs. And it's just so rewarding because it got, and then, sorry, I'll let that go. I said this is going to be short. Listen to me. But what's really interesting and rewarding is I watch my sons and their wives, in other words, their family raise the daughters, and that reaction that, and I've heard a number of things, and being curious, like Tony talks about, looking at that and going, man, that little girl, her first love is going to be her father. I mean, mother, yeah, but moms, relax. I'm just talking about one thing here. And again, different family dynamics, whatever. But let's just stay in this this talk right here, this lane, and say, the way that you teach, you act, you talk to, you are interested in, you challenge, you love, you hug that daughter, she's going to have now a menu. Sorry, this subject means a lot. She's now going to have a menu on how to expect a man to treat her. This is Insights in Straight Talk with me, your host, Rod Duff. And Tony, dude, great show today. And really love what everybody's doing and supporting us. I'm going to start a couple of things here because I'm in my way to move into Oklahoma. Bought a little house there, a little tiny house. It's just me and the dogs, and kind of that next phase in life. I really need you guys to subscribe. I really need you guys to like the videos. Check out the one on Saturday. My granddaughter was in my lap the whole time. Insights and Straight Talk. I'm Rod Duff, and I'm out.
Before you leave, if you'd like to watch another one of the podcasts, click the first link in the description. We love having you here and we appreciate all your support.
And with that, producer Barbie and I are out.